We have all the control in the world. We just have to embrace it and take control of it. So for me, this is extremely spiritual, and I have very big visions for what my family will be doing while I'm alive, but even massive for what they're going to do when I'm not.
There was a post that you shared recently, and it spoke to where you've said, the government didn't steal your wealth, your team did. And so what do you mean by that? And why is that message so hard for high earners to hear?
It's hard because they feel trapped in that they're told by their accountants, this is just something you have to get used to. This is the reality of the situation. And I often find that people blame the government. They blame their advisors. This fell short, this fell that. And I actually want to turn the mirror back on the person and help people realize that you're the leader of your team. So if things aren't going the way you want it to, it's actually your team's fault, which is actually a reflection of you and your fault. You have to lead your wealth with just as much urgency and passion that you lead your business. And so many business owners miss that step. They abdicate responsibility around their wealth and they take full responsibility of their business. And you need to take full responsibility of the whole thing. So it's the team interactions that cause the inefficiency of the money going to government and slipping through the cracks and all of that.
And that team being like the lawyer, the CPA, the financial planner, the investment portfolio manager, like they're just all disconnected. Like they're
they're all there. They're all in place, but no one knows what anyone else is doing. So like, I'll just give this is a common example in the United States to highlight this point of what happens here. So a lot of people will go to, they're told right out of school, right as they're starting their business, get a great accountant.
Mm-hmm.
But no one defines what a great accountant actually is. So they just guess. So usually it's found at the local BNI or my brother-in-law is someone, and they just assume they're filing on time. I haven't been audited. It feels like they're great. But then when they start making actual good sized amounts of money, like more and more of it goes to the IRS. They keep being told that this is just the way it is. But truly, tax planning isn't on the accountant alone. Tax planning is actually a team sport. It requires investment advisors. It requires your business to be seen as an asset. It requires many times the insurance products to be bolted on and built into that side effect. But if you have an accountant that is operating only as your accountant with no communication with anyone else, are they ever going to propose any of those other strategies that would reduce your tax bill and would be things that you personally would probably take advantage of? But because they don't operate inside the team, you never actually do it.
So true.
There's a key to what you said about tax planning, which is very different than tax reacting. And I think what happens with 90% of the population is they tax react with their accounting professional, and they're always dealing with things after all the things have happened. So you're in a cleanup situation versus a preparation situation.
Correct. And you're 100% right. But the problem is that people now, when you hear that, they're like, well, I just have a bad accountant. It's actually you don't have a bad accountant. That's what they're trained to do. They're trained to take your data and file your taxes. It's just that you haven't led them to communicate with, you have to open up the idea that there's investments that I could take advantage of that if I participated in would simultaneously save taxes. So we have to come together and talk about this, and you have to feel like this is in compliance, and it just becomes a part of the conversation. And so it's not your accountant is bad, it's that the team structure and environment is bad and that no one's communicating.
That's so true. And our experience in dealing with entrepreneurs and with just very successful professionals, and they have been there, done that, got the t-shirt as it relates to advice. They just don't do anything with it because they're so busy, whether it's in their profession or they're so busy operating their business or their portfolio of businesses, because that's what fascinates them and brings them energy. And so if you have an aligned team of professionals and they're communicating in a way that the entrepreneur is energized by and fascinated by, the good work that should be getting done, like in a family office model, can happen. And so when you think of what would one thing, like for example, if I was to just contrast one end of the spectrum to the other, so what would one thing that $100 million family knows about wealth strategy that a $1 million entrepreneur usually doesn't?
Yes, I love this. The wealth vision is created by the entrepreneur, not by the advisor. $1 million entrepreneurs want to be led by their advisors. $100 million entrepreneurs lead their advisors to where they're going. They leverage their advisors to take them to their destination. The other way around, the $1 million entrepreneur wants to be led to a destination. And I think, to me, that's one of the biggest distinctions. And that's what it flips it on its head. And I think that's why they're a $100 million entrepreneur. And that's why you're a $1 million entrepreneur.
So the same way they would cast and set a vision for an organization that they run is the same way they would do that with, things that are outside of the organization that they want to do, whether it's from a providing for, a charitable causes situation, family legacy, all those other elements. But by having that team together, they need to have that clear and concise vision that everyone can get on board with, so they can decide even if they want to be on the bus, or do they need to exit the bus at this stop?
You said that very, very well, because that is 100% what I believe separates the differences. Is I know where I'm going and I want you to get me there. Are you on board? Can you give me the tools? Can you give me the advice? Can you give me the strategies that are going to take me there? If not, then you're not my right advisor. You might be a great friend. You might have been with me for a long time. You took me to here, but you're not going to take me there. And I need to find someone that can actually help me get there. Is just that oftentimes entrepreneurs at the $1 million mark they're not thinking that way. And I believe this actually tails back to most entrepreneurs grew up middle class or poverty stricken. And so their destination, their vision is still middle class, even though they're making money that has blown well past that. And so they're okay with middle class advisors because their destination is middle class, and they haven't figured out that they have to raise their bar of destination in order to find the advisors and team that will take them there.
That is such a good insight. It reminds me of something that I've shared, even perhaps on a few occasions on the show, proximity influence. And so if you can get within proximity of $100 million entrepreneurs, even at the $1 million mark, there is going to be some proximity influence. It's not a matter of if, it's when, and you'll be influenced in a really positive way. You'll be invited into a new frame of thinking, new possibilities, a new vision that you can cast for a bigger future.
We have a ton more amazing conversations and great clips just like this if you go right here. Or if you want to watch the rest of this conversation, the full episode, click right here.